Hello and welcome to my presentation, in which I want to focus on the British Football League, the Premier League. At the first, I would like to outline my presentation structure. My first point is a glimpse into history, current state of the Premier League. Afterwards, I will introduce the four major clubs in England. When we come to the negative aspects of the league, focusing on financial risks, sponsors, and investors. And finally, I would like to come to the transfer history of the clubs in the Premier League. The Premier League is a short of the English along to the German Bundesliga. It is thus situated in the England and contains of clubs from all of over the country. The league was founded in 1929. Although the first division existed before it, but it was decided that the Premier League was officially founded in 1929. The first game in the Premier League was played on 5th August. Currently, 20 clubs are playing in the league. The season of the league starts in August and ends in following year in May. The league was won so far by 45 clubs. For example, Manchester United won 20 times the league, then as the second most successfully team, Liverpool won 19 times and are the current winners of the last season. Few more, Manchester City won 6 titles. And last but not least, there is also the club Blackburn Rovers FC with 3 titles, which is no longer represented in the league. It is important that you remember the name of the club for the rest of my talk, as I would like to come back to it later. The 4 major English football clubs are: on the first place is Manchester United, which had its plume in the early 20s, for explain in 29, which Cristiano Ronaldo played. On the second place is the FC Arsenal, which also had their major years in the 20s. And on the third place is FC Chelsea, which had very good years between 2014 and 2017. And on the fourth place is Liverpool, who are at the top of the second successful time right now, as they are current defense of the Champions title. But they also had their blooming time in the 80s and 90s. Coming now to financial risk. As I have mentioned early, I will take Blackburn FC as an example. Blackburn won 1913 the English Championship. Although the league was not yet called Premier League but the First Division. Then Jack Walker took over the club. He saw the club as a big project, meaning that in 1919 several $1 million were invested in the club. Out of this, for example, players such as Dalglish or Aaron Shearer, who at that time 2 top players were bought and played for FC Blackburn. In 1929, the Premier League was founded, and the concept to invest more and more money in the clubs, and this giving them advantages was a good business and worthwhile doing. So in 1995, more money was invested at the FC Blackburn, participated for the first time in the newly founded Champions League. After that successes, other clubs hoped on that trend, and many more clubs got investors. The investor of Blackburn FC invested, however, at on point to title in team. And so the great project of the FC Blackburn went down the river. So the story of FC Blackburn playing in the Champions League ended in 1999. Immediately, they went up a second time only to go down again in 2012. Blackburn is now in the second English league and has lost the battle of the money completely. But who are actually the biggest sponsors in the Premier League? The Premier League is sponsored by several different sponsors. On the one hand, there are sponsors that are printed on the sport shirts of the team, in addition to the manufacturers on the shirts such as Adidas and Nike and so on. The biggest sponsors of the Premier League are campaigns such as Nike and Adidas. They sponsor 10 clubs of the league by creating their sponsors equipped, which also on the contrary leads for them to create advertisement for the campaign, and the football clubs get money for showing that advertisement. On the other hand, the Premier League is founded for television deals and league name sponsors. For example, the Premier League is named Barclays Premier League or Barclaycard Premiership after the credit card companion Barclaycard. But why does the English league have so much money to, for example, buy players or pay huge salaries? The answer is easy. It is not only from the sponsors, but also how the English clubs are run. English clubs are also run via investor. That means that there are some very rich people that will invest money into the club. Now let me show their example of investors. In the British Premier League there is, for example, Roman Abramovich, who is the owner of Chelsea. Disappeared of corona pandemic, he spent more than £174 million on the football club. Another example is the investor of Manchester City, where Sheikh Mansour Say Al Nahyan, who spent £177.8 million in the last year. As a last example, I would like to present you an investor of Leicester City who, due to Corona, did not put so much money into the club, and this created an even balance between cost of the club and money the club earned. Now, if we compare these clubs with Bundesliga club Bayern Munich, for example, FC Bayern Munich spent 26 million euros and collect 22 million euros fraud players transfers this summer. The money they have seemed to be a lot, but it's still nothing near the money the English league is making. Fraud, the high investments of investors' feeling of pouring out money is created, especially shown at the highest cost for football players. For example, in 1993, Roy Keane was bought in the British Premier League for £3.5 million. In 22, the £25 million seems already like peanuts compared to the amount of was spent Rio Ferdinand. He was bought for £28 million. The next higher transfer was 14 years later. In 2016, Paul Pogba switched back to Manchester United for £98 million and was this for a year the most expensive players in the world. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions.